Hello everyone, welcome to this Bubble Trouble tutorial series. And over the next 3 videos, we'll be recreating this classic Flash game from scratch. And by the end, you will have a fully functional Bubble Trouble clone and a solid understanding of game development in Godot, which will hopefully help you improve faster. Before we dive in, let's quickly outline what we'll cover in this series. So part 1, which is this video, we will set up the project and a basic game structure. And then in part 2, we will go ahead and handle player movement, shooting mechanics, and lastly, the bubble physics. And then part 3, we will do some level design, UI, and we will do some finishing touches. So alright, let's get started with part 1. So once we have Godot open, we want to create a new project and name it Bubble Trouble, or whatever you want to call it. So in here, we want to make a 2D scene. And we want to rename this to main so that we have that set up already. And we just want to instantly save our scene here. We'll call it main.tscn. So once we have the main scene saved, we want to make a color rect and name it background. Then we'll change the color of this to be a simple hex code, which will be a light blue. You can change it to whatever you want. Then we want to make sure the anchor preset is set to full rect. And then we can simply make another node here, which will be a kinematic body 2D. Or I mean a rigid body, sorry, or a character body. I used the old term there. We will call this player. And then we want to make a color rect that is underneath the player here. And we will make this a red color. I guess we'll do a bit of a dark red here. And then we also want to make sure that we set the size of this just for now to be 40 by 40, which is fine. And then we also want to add a bubble node. Now the bubble node will be a simple character body 2D again. And this will also have a color rect just to make sure we can see the visuals for now. So let's set this color to purple-ish. And we'll also make this a size of 50 by 50. And let's actually make the player 20 by 40. Alright, so now we have this set up. We can actually move this around just so we know who's who. So we can see this will be the player and this will be the bubbles falling from the sky. So in the next tutorial, we'll actually set this up to actually work. But for now, we just use this to have a simple representation. So then let's go ahead and add some scripts, which we'll use in future parts of this series. So let's go on to our main scene. And we want to also make a main script and attach it to our main node here. Then we want to set up a couple of functions, which we will use later on. So in here, we want to add a function for spawning a bubble. We also want a function to check the collision to make sure when we collide with the ball or when the bubble collides with the player, we can actually do something with that logic. And then we want to update the score. So what the bubble will do, as I've said, it will be handling the logic for spawning the bubbles. The check collision will go ahead and detect collisions between the player, bubbles, and other projectiles. And then update score pretty much says it already. It will update and display the player their score. So that's already it for part 1 of our Bubble Trouble tutorial. I just wanted to make it a really quick one, a bit of an introduction to what this series will be. So we set up our project, created a basic scene structure, outlined our main game project script, and in the next video we will be implementing player movement, shooting mechanics, and also start working on some bubble physics. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please ask them, and I will see you in part 2. Bye bye.